Camille putting up their youngest player, the youngest player in the LCS actually. It used to be Spica, Fudge is even younger. Literally putting him in the deciding game for Cloud9 versus TSM, one of the biggest matchups that we could possibly have, and carry pants better come on. This is gonna mean Cloud9 looking for either split push opportunities or flank opportunities here, highly prioritizing some jungle pressure for the top side of the map. So TSM knowing this, get Graves, the all-around, very, very versatile power farming jungler, shouldn't lose ground to literally any matchup that's left here. Talia is banned out, so maybe the Nidalee, maybe the Lilia options here for Blaber. I actually even still like Kindred into Graves, especially if you do have Blaber at the helm. But we shall see.
There's no way you did this twice. There.
Two. What's next? What's next? Quick. What's next?
But Twisted Fate. Galio.
Okay. All right. You still, if you got all three of those, including one that you just had to guess with no actual information leading into it, I was going to investigate you for champion select fraud.
What's funny?
Because it's uncanny.
It was between Twisted Fate and Galio because you're looking for the global. But I should have said Galio because the obvious combo with Camille. It bumps it up for a higher priority. Galio Camille is, it's been showcased all season long, but that combo is just easy to use. Hextech ultimatum to lock him in for the Galio ultimate. TSM though, the Gragas. Analyst talked about it, we talked about it, all the fans been talking about it. Gragas can knock Camille out of her own Hextech ultimatum with his ultimate. If you do it quick enough, you can try and help your teammates escape and get out of the zone. The problem is that Cloud9 have all three great synergies with these first three champions. If you don't get a really perfect combo breaker basically to this, then what you end up with is no possibility to play in this area. Kindred ultimate denies you a possibility of killing any Cloud9 members, but also you can't use the usual counterplay, get on the Kindred ultimate, because Galio ultimate will come down over it. So pretty much this Gragas pick, everything is on this. Your ult has to displace Kindred, people off Kindred ultimate. It has to, be used for knocking Camille out of her own ultimate. It has to be used for everything. Huni's Gragas ultimates have to be great.
And you said at the start of this draft, when we saw the Camille pick locked in first, that your psychic powers were able to predict for us. Oh my god, the amount of faith that Cloud9 is putting on Fudge to do everything with this Camille pick, to give him that first pick, ban away the counters, all of that. And now TSM is doing the same thing in their top laner, putting Huni on the Gragas. We came into this series saying that the top lane is a point of vulnerability. It's a weak spot for both of these teams based on how their players have played so far in the best of one phase of the lock-in tournament. And now here in the deciding game of the quarterfinals, it's both top laners that have had the weight and confidence of the rest of their team placed on their shoulders. And I think that is just badass, that they have that much faith in their own guys like this. The bans have gone through for the second half. MF and Aphelios banned away, really wanting to knock Zven down a couple more notches here on which AD carry he's allowed to play. Remember, they already self-banned the Kai'Sa earlier so that they wouldn't give it away when they first picked the Camille. Orianna and Maokai banned out, and PowerOfEvil will be on Azir here in game number 3.
Which is perfect, because we just built this all up. All right, you got to have these great Gragas ultimates to knock people off of, the Kindred and Camille AoE zones right here. Azir does the exact same thing. You can sweep them off, or you can drink them under the table. TSM now have two options to work with here.
So good.
Trying to clear off this AoE team fight from Cloud9. Sivir and Alistar locked in here to just quadruple down on this team fight for Cloud9.
My goodness.
They've got the chase down, and now to get their positioning perfectly. Sivir, rarely seen in the current meta, but does provide just what you want with this team. If you can get the speed boost, that's all that you need, and the synergies of the rest of your champions will take care of this. Alistar can run straight forward. They talked about it in the last one, with him just playing frontline, having flash, having Sivir's speed boost. This fully enables Vulcan.
How are we feeling about this Bard coming in here as a last pick for TSM in this draft. Clearly, they're looking for some other way to buy some time against the dive from Cloud9 that everyone's going to be participating in as a 5-man squad, as you mentioned here with the Sivir pick. Is the Bard the answer here, or were you looking for something else more similar to like the Thresh that we saw last time?
So the Bard is hard to use, but it is another combo breaker to try and counter this C9 comp. If you are able to Bard ult on them, they're working all off of these zones with Camille and with Kindred, and Bard ultimate can also set those up for easier placement of your Azir or Gragas answers with your sweeps. So it is another combo breaker, another denial, and I actually do like it because it's pretty easy to land those Bard ultimates when your opponent team is stacking up on the Kindred ultimate or stacking up, for these plays. Plus, it enables SwordArt to roam around, and that's what TSM need because Lost has not been able to carry nearly as heavily as Zven. So they kind of need to buy some time for bottom lane, maybe send a jungle gate down there to give SwordArt a roam opening to make some Bard plays throughout the map.
Let's do this. Game number 3, TSM Cloud9. One gets to go forward to play in the semifinals. The other is done until the LCS officially starts its regular season competition in week number 4. Fudge with the grasp on the Camille on the top side. Huni going to be running the grasp on the Gragas, so we can expect to see Huni once again being that tankier style as opposed to the AP bursty style that we saw from Fudge in game number 2. Blaber with the PTA, Spica with the phase rush. Now sometimes you will see in the Graves versus Kindred matchup, because it can go either way, one of these guys take an Ignite. It feels like more of a risky solo queue strategy. Doesn't always work out, but it does give you a big edge in the 1v1. Neither one of them opted for that this time around, so just flashes there in the jungle. Lethal tempo for the Azir on PowerOfEvil means he's going for that scaling late game build. Again, tying into what you were talking about. They're just trying to stop Cloud9 from making these dives, scale up, become powerful. He doesn't really care so much about the laning aspect or having a comment or anything. Perkz with a Predator on the Galio to make more rotations, make more plays. I hope this game is as spicy as the draft was, Kobe.
Okay, I'm excited as well because Blaber gets his signature Kindred. And anytime, little tip for solo queue, if you ever see a Kindred in solo queue, watch out for, red buff invades. Kindred, the main difference with Graves and Kindred is Kindred doesn't clear as fast as Graves. And so I always look for Kindred to make up for that in some sort of pressure on the map, either invading in the enemy jungle or trying to affect some sort of lane while you have red buff. Red buff is Kindred's best and biggest friend, so I want to see about Blaber's early pathing. I do not recommend trying to go toe-to-toe just out-farming a Graves because that would...
Pretty difficult.
Yeah, that would definitely be quite good for Spica. Looks like they are both going to do the red down into blue quadrants for themselves, which does have some implications for Huni up here on the Gragas, as Fudge is already pushing him in. And now you have to start counting these minion waves, because every stacked up large minion wave can also be used effectively by these Kindred players. Ooh, really close there.
Ooh,
he does not.
So good.
He needs to eat a couple more meals a day to have some extra range on that belly. Kindred is really thin. Kindred is really good at diving on these big waves. So namely, Huni's going to probably have to worry about those stacking. In mid lane, PoE should be able to keep control of his quite well, although Perkz often using everything that he has here, expending as much mana and health as possible to get his AoE down, make sure PoE doesn't get him under turret too frequently.
Now, one thing that I will point out is you can see that it was a full clear from Blaber. However, the Krugs were skipped from Spica. So Blaber, if both of these guys do the... go from one end of the jungle to the other one and then recall, Blaber will have a little bit more money here on that one. He's letting the Scuttle Crab burn away, and it's actually a very late take of the blue buff here for Blaber. So if these are both passed off to mid laners here on second spawn, it will mean that PowerOfEvil has his sooner than his opponent does. So they'll both go ahead and back up, head back to base. Spica grabbing a couple of long swords here. What's the recipe going to be for Blaber? I expect it's the same. Yep. Honestly, perfectly mirrored inventories here for the junglers.
And it's pretty interesting whenever junglers do stuff like that to throw off your opponent's timing, because if you go with standard clears, it's very easy with the 5-minute respawn on buff timers to time them. You usually start looking towards enemy jungle if you want to invade second blue at 7 minutes to try and get your vision down so that you're there in time. But this one won't even be spawning till like 8:50 about. Didn't see the exact timer there, but significantly later than usual due to the delay. SwordArt out on those early Bard roams that we expected from him, though. During a Perkz aggressive move, it looks like their sights are already set towards Fudge, though.
Oh, there is that wave piling up, too. Huni and the rest of TSM trying to take Fudge down, stop him from being able to farm this, but a teleport's coming in, binding into the wall, but with the TP coming through from Perkz, that will save Fudge's life. He's wiping the sweat off of his forehead on that one. But in the meantime, PowerOfEvil just sees this as an opportunity to shove the wave in here in mid and utilize the fact that Perkz had to go top. Otherwise, Fudge loses those couple of waves and is sent home with a black and white screen.
Really good roam timing from SwordArt there, and they coordinate it with Spica. But Blaber has done it. We were talking about, oh yeah, Kindred going to have a hard time out-farming Graves. Guess what? Blaber does it. And he's able to counter jungle on Wolves before looking bottom here. They should know that TSM are trailing them, so that's a very ill-conceived dive. And very risky. They don't want to go for it, so that you should not in any case. Good escape there. They get away with a little camp steal. And this has been afforded because Spica obviously, showed top lane. They spent a bunch of time looking for that dive with Graves. So you give up your position, allowing him to counter jungle your blue quadrant map camps. And that is going to mean this Kindred, Blaber set up level lead versus the Graves. And I really do like his possibilities here. Now, if you do meet up in the river.
Bottom side, that Drake's still alive on the map. We'll see if this turns into the third episode in a row of TSM takes first to Drakes. Spica with control, gets that Scuttle Crab, and it looks like he'll start this one up. With the enemy jungler on the top side of the map, should be first Drake, no contest for the side of TSM. Of course, Huni's going to have a bad time if he sticks around up here, as both Blaber and Perkz are nearby looking to facilitate some sort of a play. But Huni just recognizes, hey, I'm on the weak side right now. Our jungler's bottom. They're taking the Drake. There's nothing for me to contest. You've just got to surrender all that farm, all that experience. That feels bad, but it's what you got to do.
Galio ult is available too, so PoE heading up to defend Huni here is not a power play for TSM. TSM know that they are giving up a large amount of that wave. Oh, and he's going to get a big chunk.
Shuffles Blaber backwards, and Blaber just says, okay, sure, cool. He got the ulti out of his opponent. That shuts down so much of PowerOfEvil's playmaking potential. Blaber wants to stick around and steal the red buff, but with a 3-man collapse coming, there's just no way to safely do that, so he has to jump back over the wall with a dance of arrows. TSM, they lose their mid laner's ulti, so we won't be seeing as many plays be made around him here for the next minute or two. It's still a very close game here in terms of gold, my friend. Cloud9 with about 1 kill's worth of gold lead up on their opponents. You can see the farm advantage for the Camille up there in the top lane, but everything else is really close.
And I want to get in here real quick because it's 20 seconds away from the Rift Herald actually spawning, and that ult is going to be a big deal. Galio ultimate for Cloud9 gives huge priority for a possible Rift Herald play, and you already see SwordArt has recalled, gone back towards bottom side of the map. It looks like Vulcan is going to trail as well. And they're going to go for the blue invade instead of doing top side of the map play. But regardless, Cloud9 are looking to use this priority of Galio ultimate during the window. They don't have Azir defensive properties on the side of TSM. So I want to see them get aggressive on one of these objectives. And Rift Herald is now on the map as PoE heads top while Blaber is actually trailing bottom side.
Blaber still hanging around down here. Farm equal between the junglers, both of them with that noon quiver completed. I feel like that's one of the tier 2 items that I definitely know the name of, just because I feel like you see so many champions sit on it for so long. There's
it built into everything now.
Yeah, Noon Quiver is just so essential. You see it in every single game of League of Legends. Before we started seeing the Moonstaff builds, I had no idea what Bandle Glass Mirror was called. I called it Blue Orb. So this is the one that I'm confident in. These tier 2 items, some of them still trip me up a little bit, but I am familiar with what these marksmen got going on. And Blaber has managed to successfully steal away his opponent's blue buff. And that means no blue for Azir in the mid lane, which means Perkz is much happier about having to deal with the Emperor of Shurima's constant spam, and he manages to get the taunt. Power of Evil, as soon as he's got the ulti ready to go again, has to use it once more. He's chasing after Perkz here, looking for a little bit more damage. The soldiers charge forward. Perkz at 200 HP. Rest of the TSM squad is following up. Collateral damage finds him, but not quite enough to get the kill. Perkz is running for his life, man. Get the hell out of town. Power of Evil with the power of first blood.
So Cloud9, they used that window to take away the blue buff, and TSM take away Cloud9's mid laner. PoE chases him down. They're going to be rewarded with the Rift Herald itself right after. And I think Cloud9 will be kicking themselves for not kind of using that advantage with the Galio ultimate offensively. They actually just in a trade in lane, Perkz gets chased down, and with the Bard roaming, it means everything here. SwordArt, that last lock-in, 5-pick Bard, as expected. Doesn't spend very much time down there with Lost, makes most of his presence felt up here on the top side of the map, and that is just what TSM have needed. That all being said, this is still C9's plan with the first pick, Camille, for Fudge, setting him up for success. And because Cloud9 still have this Galio ultimate, you always constantly have to be looking and be wary of those possible plays. Fudge still increasing his CS lead on top side and pushing a big wave towards top.
Power of Evil is nearly out of mana, and Cloud9 recognizes what that means. It means goodbye to the Azir in mid lane. Nicely done with the 3-man collapse. They waste no time at all. And with that kill picked up and the plates following up after, Cloud9 has themselves a nice gold lead here.
Every time you see Vulcan towards mid, you better get nervous for the mid laner, because Vulcan on Alistar is a go. He flashes in, gets a combo again, constantly putting pressure, gets one back for Perkz after Power of Evil blew his flash offensively to get that kill. The problem for them is they get one turret plate instead of a Rift Herald afterwards. Here's another look at it though. It was a good play by PoE. He walked up and took the back end of the Justice Punch. So PoE forces this, knowing that he has the roam. It wasn't Perkz looking for an aggressive trade. Perkz was looking for the standard wave clear combo there and Justice punching out, but PoE just walks up, cuts it short by walking into the end of it, and actually started out that first one. Vulcan says, nice. No flash on his ear, huh? Okay, well, I've got flash. That's the end of that story, Flowers. How do you like that retelling?
Way it works. Sometimes there's nothing to it but just blowing the guy up. And now we've got the Drake spawn. We've got a very close gold count for both teams. We got what looks to be a standoff here in the bottom side river. TSM focusing onto the Scuttle Crab here as it is closer to their players, so they'll secure that extra bit of control. Drake down to half HP, but in the middle of resetting. TSM continuing to walk forward. Cloud9's ready to go. Vulcan coming in. Beautiful 3-man knock-up and 3 flashes instantly to get themselves away. SwordArt still dies. Zven takes the kill, and Cloud9, baby. They are getting things done here in this early game.
That is a flank if I've ever seen one. Vulcan back at it again. He's got his ultimate still available too. Honestly, what an exceptional opening here for Cloud9. That affords them the dragon as well, and up pops the infernal. Rift's going to take away a lot of these walls that will be a little bit detrimental to their comp, as it's a few less walls for it to Camille to jump off of. And it's a little bit more open space to work with for TSM, but that's a very, very small thing for TSM to be happy about. Rift Herald is used though, and that's going to cash in some more money for PoE.
PoE grabbing some extra gold, trying to keep this game nice and close. Still honestly not that far apart, but damn did Vulcan's flank in that last fight look so good. Let's take another look at how this started off. Initially, just with the teams seemingly in that standoff.
Yep, he takes the long route, sweepers up, blast cones available, lays the ward down even, and TSM have seemingly forgot about him, even though they saw him going to the tri-brush. Then, as you say, 3 flashes blown. And since that ward that Vulcan placed during his flank allows Fudge to get the TP in to finish that one off. Huni, he's definitely dropping some on the ground here as ultimate goes down, another couple one goes down, and Spica wants no part of it then. He's out.
Turret plating finally disappears here. The game very, very, very close between these two squads as a TP showing up on the mid lane tier 1 to catch the wave. PowerOfEvil back into lane after grabbing the Leandries. Gale Force picked up for Spica's Graves. Remember, Graves is one of those champions in a couple of different mythics we've seen pop up on him. Back in the original item changes, everybody was going Eclipse. Then it switched over into the Shield Bow as everybody was doing the lifesteal builds. It just made it so it seemed like he never died. And now that Gale Force is overpowered, everybody wants to be having that extra dash both to get yourself away or go further into the fight if you just need to catch up to somebody for that extra auto attack. Up here in the top side, seems we've had a lane swap from the side of Cloud9, and it's working out wonderfully as Huni's stuck at half health and no mana, no teleport to come back, and Perkz is just chilling here, perfectly happy to shove up the waves.
Yeah, Huni's laying pretty low on mana himself as well, so going to be a little bit more difficult to keep that wave clear going. And Cloud9 now are at the position that they can transition this Sivir to start making use of their full composition. You go from regular C9 dive to turbo dive here with the extra speed, allowing Vulcan more opportunities for those all-star Alistar plays. Now is the opportunity with Gale Force complete as well for Zven that the Sivir becomes actually very difficult for TSM to deal with. You know, having Spell Shield goes a very long way against champs like Gragas and even Azir and Bard as well. So C9 gonna look to make use of that turbo dive very shortly here.
Next Drake is under 2 minutes now. We'll see if the teams want to start something up before that or if they're just saving everything that they've got for one of those big objective fights. When you're looking at the timers on TSM, important to remember that it was Spica, Lost, and SwordArt who all had to use their flashes to get away from that big flank from Vulcan, and they still got to wait a little bit longer here. Perkz walking away after getting hit by the ulti from the Azir. Spica walking forward, wanting to find just a little bit more damage. They won't get enough to kill Perkz, but they will get enough to take down the tier 1 in mid lane, which does some good work here for TSM to keep that gold closer. Gives them extra control over the mid lane as well, which is another advantage once that Drake does spawn. PowerOfEvil with 3/4 of the cooldown still left to go on the ulti. Should have it up close to time for the Drake fight, but I'm not sure if it'll be ready if they start it up immediately.
Sivir ultimate gonna be down as well as a cooldown for Gale Force, which you know, currently the cooldown not very long on it. Don't know if this is actually gonna matter as they're still keeping TSM's AD carry with Lost on bottom side. So Cloud9 should be able to get this no problem, despite the little attempted engage on the Zven. Blaber lands the smite, and that should be the end of that story. Spica, meanwhile, revealing on Perkz means that Cloud9 can just continue to wait out these teleports. Fudge is going to have his back soon, and if you get just one deep ward, all that Cloud9 need is one flank, either Fudge or Vulcan. If one of these two champions get behind TSM, the job of Gragas and Azir gets so difficult because you now have to worry about two fronts trying to use these already difficult disengage abilities that you have, and it kind of turns the game into TSM just have to attack one side of the Cloud9 teamfight attempt, and that probably looks like a Bard ultimate from SwordArt. They know Perkz has no flash.
Oh, here we go. Perkz is stuck. Good ulti coming in from SwordArt, but now the counterattack from Cloud9. Fudge is looking to get something, but Perkz is already down. Cloud9 in a 4 versus 5. Spica the target here as Blaber jumps in for some damage. Spica getting himself back with his own ulti. Deadly Flourish coming down to find a little bit more onto Blaber's health bar. Vulcan in the middle of everybody, popping the ulti, staying alive. Lost dying down to the Boomerang Blade from Zven. TSM, they had a 5v4, but Cloud9 played it clean enough to even the odds. Now we've got 4v4 on the map in the bottom side of the river. Zven taking a little bit of damage there as PowerOfEvil and SwordArt trying to maintain their distance while getting whatever sort of DPS they can. Blaber and Huni both hanging around closest to the Drake. Blaber at half HP. Remember that Lamb's Respite is still ready to go. Huni searching around here, and there you go. Blaber jumping back over the wall, popping the blast cone to make sure Huni's not able to interrupt him.
Perkz has teleport.
Remember that Gragas' body slam cancels pretty much every other dash, so it can stop you as you're blast coning over the wall. TP coming in. Cloud9 with control over the bottom side river still. One teleport coming in. 2 teleports coming in. Cloud9 says, that is ours, thank you very much, and they walk away with the Drake.
And 2 Drakes over to Cloud9, setting themselves up for a possible stack here. The game would definitely have to go a bit deeper than they are on course for right now. I think Cloud9 definitely have the possibilities to finish it up quicker than that. But here's another look. I like this from TSM. You have to start looking offensively before Cloud9 set up their Wombo combo. So they do get that Bard ultimate initiation onto Perkz, and because they start out on Perkz, when Fudge goes in, Camille ultimate, there's no combo here because TSM use everything to take down Perkz though. Vulcan takes the opportunity to flash in on Lost and complete the 4v5 victory for C9. So many abilities used by TSM early on their pick on Perkz that they didn't have anything left for Lost to stay safe. And it is just good communication and game sense here by C9 to make the call. Yes, we are down in members, but up in threat because Vulcan has flash. And, you know, there's no Azir ultimate for defensive properties here for TSM. He takes it into his own hands and allows Cloud9 the pickup.
The thing that's separating this game from game numbers 1 and 2 to me is the fact that in the previous games, when we saw teams getting these small advantages, a pick, a Drake, whatever, we would see that translate into a steadily climbing gold lead. But this game, absolutely not the situation at all. This feels like it's been paused at a 600 gold difference for so long as neither team's been able to make any meaningful headway. Fudge tries to jump onto Huni down there, but even without much mana, Huni can just sort of walk away from it. So I'm just waiting for which one of these teams can finally find that big moment that leads to a breakaway advantage. And curious, Kobe, how do we get to that point? What is the win condition for that big playmaking moment here in this game for either squad?
Well, for TSM, I think they have to continue to look aggressively because, again, if Cloud9 get that flank, if they get the initiation, it's so hard to stop the combo. So, again, Bard ultimates are your best friend. Nothing else is that easy to use for TSM. It's going to be pretty difficult unless Huni finds some crazy flank or camps a brush on Gragas and is able to use a flash to start out a play. If it's not that, then Cloud9 are going to have the priority on trying to set this one up. Since, you know, they've got control of the river up by Baron right now. They've got plenty of time, over 2 minutes, to transition some of their wards down to the Dragon to set themselves up for the soul point. I would say that this series, though, being so close with both teams, you know, having those openings throughout, I am in favor of turning this into a best of 5, my friends, so that we get some more games.
Just want to impromptu
all in favor,
schedule.
Please say aye in chat if you are in favor. Let's get some more C9 versus TSM going. Looks like it's going to be
Why stop there, Kobe? Why not just spend the rest of the day having a best of 11 between?
Say it's true, my friend. Say it's true.
Unfortunately, that is not within our power as commentators. We're just supposed to talk fast and get you all excited and say smart stuff, in case, but not in mine. And let's see if they can get a kill on the Zven here, who gets himself away with the flash plus the dash out of his Gale Force. So Zven stays alive, but I like the fact that TSM was willing to go for this one. That does get a very important summoner spell out of the Cloud9 AD carry.
Yeah, it definitely does take a lot of the safety. Ult and flash burned by Zven here, plus Gale Force as well. But it goes to show, when we were talking about earlier, how difficult it is to pick off some of these you know, side lane users that do have the extra dash in their kit now. Good move by TSM setting that up and burning the cooldowns before the Dragon. But it still is going to be difficult. Again, they need you know, a lot of preparation to try and take advantage of C9 because there's a bit easier reactions from Cloud9 available. Vulcan does still have, or has flash available. As it's come right back off of cooldown here. Hex Flash goes away. He's ready to look offensively, so it's only Zven that's got the big target on his back.
35 seconds till that Drake. Still less than 1,000 gold, less than 500 gold. Let's make it sound even more impressive between these two teams. Blaber at half HP, wants to try to get as much of that back as he can before this fight breaks out here. It is TSM who has control over the Drake pit right now. But Cloud9 are not ones to back away from a fight, especially when they've got plenty of resources ready to go here. However, Blaber does not have that flash anymore. Spica trying to get himself away, but the damage is coming in. Zven's going on a killing spree. They've killed off the enemy jungler as the fight starts out, and Cloud9 has Lamb's Respite to keep their own men alive. Perkz gets a kill onto Lost. PowerOfEvil tries to kite back as Huni gets a revenge kill onto Vulcan. TSM mid laner barely keeping himself alive, getting over the wall here with the blast cone. Fudge chasing after SwordArt while Huni's stuck in the middle of a 1 versus 3. He gets away over the wall with the flash underneath the tier 1 turret to stay alive. Cloud9 have slammed this fight. It is a 1 for 3 trade, and they will take that Drake as their reward.
Yeah, they're going to take it all right. They don't let TSM get the Bard ultimate pick. They take the initiative here. Blaber says, I got him, of Spica, before he even goes past the Wraith camp, before Vulcan had even engaged. And once he does, they annihilate the enemy jungler. This is going to be a risky but warded play by TSM. They're going to have to abort mission pretty quickly. That is a Cloud9 ward on the Baron. 7K, it's getting burned so quickly though. Spica's arrived.
If this wasn't warded, this would have been a great play from TSM. Let's see if they're willing to commit to this. There's your 3-man pulverize yet again. Zven goes on a rampage. Everybody's going to be killed off. Baron secured at least by TSM. It is a 1 for 2, but TSM takes the Baron. That favors them.
That is a bold play from TSM. It actually pays off. Burning right through that Baron with PowerOfEvil's Azir. My goodness, they take it right back. As soon as Cloud9 were able to take down that dragon, immediately calling for this aggressive look. And you gotta say, this type of thing, we don't get to listen in on the shot calling, so it always has to be guesses. But since SwordArt has joined the team, you know, in this series, TSM have been looking very, very aggressive, taking a lot of fights, making some of these calls that rely very heavily on timing. And as you said, if that ward wasn't there, then they burn this and they get out. But the ward is there. Even so, Vulcan arrives. He gets a 3-person knock-up. Spica, look at his health. He barely survives. That is nerves of steel not to use your smite too early to try and heal. He knows the only hope that they have of that being a successful play is if he waits it out until he sees the Baron's health under 800 or whatever it is at the moment. He lands that smite. Spica, whew, that has got to get your heart pumping as a jungler.
Especially for such a young player. To have that resolve, to have that stoicness in the face of absolute game-throwing possibility. But now we got the fight breaking out. Lost is stuck. We got so many stasis popping off. Perkz looking to lock somebody down. Oh, can they manage to get Lost away? No, they will not. Fudge goes on a killing spree. TSM now looking for one in retaliation. Lamb's Respite keeping Fudge alive. Trying to back away now. PowerOfEvil and the rest of TSM finding themselves caught between a rock and a hard place, and a hard place is named Cloud9. PowerOfEvil trying to continue that retreat. Perkz with a nice wombo combo. Vulcan following up. PowerOfEvil and SwordArt going on a magical journey here together, but remember that Huni flashed earlier. Now the man's getting taunted, the man's getting pulverized, man's getting headbutted with a Justice Punch. He's somebody's lunch. Double kill over to Perkz. The Galio is getting it done, and Cloud9 removes so many of those Barons.
Even with all the tools we mentioned from Champ Select, Flowers of TSM trying to counter this combo. Gragas ultimate is used on the Camille. Bard ultimate is used to try and save their target, but it doesn't matter. Cloud9 waited out. Fudge then is able to stopwatch after they get the pick, after they get the kill onto Lost, and Blaber gets just in range to pop the Kindred ultimate, saving his top laner, making sure they don't lose anyone in the process. Turbo Dive overwhelms all. Let's take a look at it. There's the Camille ult into the Gragas ultimate that put him into the wall. SwordArt knows that he's still going to have to Zhonya's to try and save Lost, who flashes out, but they still can't save him. There's just too much follow-up as Fudge still had a hook shot here. And that stopwatch into Kindred ultimate just on the edge of range. Nicely played. After that kind of mid-fight reset where Cloud9 get to continue the attack, they just separate TSM. They get the 2 picks on top side as Zven and Fudge eyeing SwordArt and PoE here under the Azir tower. With Baron empowered recalls, they do get out, do get some Baron buffs for themselves, but Cloud9 picking up the kills.
This game is getting pretty scary here for TSM, my friend. It is under 1 minute until this Drake spawns, and it's Cloud9 who currently command 3 elemental Drakes already. Should they succeed in getting this one, they will get an Infernal Soul, which honestly pairs just immaculately with this dive composition, giving everybody that extra proc, that extra burst of damage when they all dive in together. Just
intermission.
Lost. Poof. They just gotta look at him now. They don't even have to give him the full-on look, though, just a side-eye glance, and he will disappear if they get this Infernal Soul.
Thank you, Vulcan, for the halftime performance here on Cow Alistar with the with the cowbell play in the Tribush. But it looks like TSM didn't like the performance.
No, they are not a fan. Not their favorite genre, as they're trying to come in and collapse here. Fudge gets himself away. It looks like Cloud9 might just be saying, hey, you know what? We don't care about the Drake. Let him have it. We're going to take turrets instead. Zven's already at the tier 3. He used his ulti. He is committed to this push. Perkz is sitting up top here at the tier 2. So they will just give this Drake soul away to TSM. Cloud9 are instead opting to grab the mid lane tier 3, the top lane tier 2. Zven's still sticking around, putting some auto attacks here into this inhib, but recognizes he needs to get away right now as TSM is rotating back up into the base. So one inhibitor now vulnerable, and one of the remaining tier 2 turrets destroyed. How do we feel about this trade for both teams? Is this worth?
I think it's great for Cloud9 opening up a pathway into the base. Exposed inhibitor is so big. Cloud9 can Sivir ultimate, chase you down, and win one team fight and win the game at this point. So having a Dragon Soul coming up, drawing TSM in 2 different directions. Exposed inhibitor and Dragon Soul coming up very quickly. This is going to put so much pressure on TSM. Very, very pleasantly surprised, by the way, by Cloud9 utilizing Sivir. Not getting picked a lot in the meta right now, yet they recognize that the strengths that they are drafting to right now, which is heavy dive, they don't care about shorter range AD carries. They want things that are going to be following up with their aggressive playstyle, with their heavy dive, and they've just jumped right on Sivir there. It's 4-0 so far for Zven, with also a heavy focus on clearing out all these minion waves. You saw her annihilate the wave towards mid and earn themselves an objective. It's definitely nice to see when lesser used champions slot right into strategies that are already very prevalent throughout the leagues.
And I think it speaks a lot about Zven as a player, too. Because right now, I don't think anybody's going to argue with you that Kai'Sa's in that S tier. The champion has just been all over the place. Very powerful in solo queue, very powerful in competitive play. And then to switch over to something that's just the opposite of that and have the same amount of success, Zven is clearly one of the marksmen to measure yourself against here in the LCS. As Fudge makes the initiation come in, here comes a follow-up from Perkz. Spica wants to get away, but the Winds of War are coming after him. Vulcan on the side, only has a Hex Flash, not a real flash, so has to wait a second to go over the wall if he wants, but TSM will not lose anyone here in this fight. Spica does manage to get away through that magical journey. However, enemy jungler down below 25%. Baron's on the map. What does that mean, Kobe? It looks like purple is back on the menu.
Ding, 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 ding. Serving up right now. 7k health, dropping quickly. We've got Lost opening up. Spica's not close enough to smite.
Curtain calls ready to go. Bard ulti already going through. Baron going to be stuck here at about 1,000 HP and stolen! PowerOfEvil, what?
The
Blaber has Smite still
wall.
available? What? Okay, something happened.
Jhin.
The Baron went over to the king of the chickens, and TSM has managed to get themselves a chance to still fight back in this game.
Jhin ultimate shot right through it as well, chunking it down pretty low. Let's take another look at Blaber's positioning. He's still in the pit. PoE's looking. Gragas ultimate there knocks him so far away. That's got to be out of smite range. Huni, we said in Champ Select, his Gragas ultimates have to be perfect. That one right there earned his paycheck. Oh
yeah,
my
buddy.
goodness, he knocks Blaber out of the pit. They coordinate Jhin Fire with Azir Soldier from over the wall, and TSM have stolen this Baron in one of our craziest series we've ever had, Flowers. right back the other way. Now let's see what they can do with it. PoE has been on point in disengaging the Camille Galio ultimate combo with the Azir ultimate. See if TSM can keep it up.
TSM trying to run away. Oh, PowerOfEvil trying to get himself out of there. Azir might be the king where he's from, but a couple more shots like that and the boys going in the same 6-foot hole everybody else is when you're not living no more. Cloud9 try to kite this one back. TSM moving forward. Zven wants to escape. PowerOfEvil hot on the chase. Vulcan tries to go in with a headbutt pulverized, but a good flash away from PoE. Nice follow-up with the Bard ulti. Blaber getting himself out there with a Gale Force as well. Tier 2 turret falls. TSM going big on this one, taking down the tier 2. However, what is this? It looks like a flank coming in from Fudge. Never mind, they're going to turn the fight right back around. Perkz coming in, looking to keep Blaber alive. PowerOfEvil also going to be stuck here in that Lamb's Respite. Finally falls. TSM in a very bad place. Vulcan swooping in from the side. More damage pouring in. Lost is gone. Spica running away. Knock up onto Huni, throwing him up into the air. Perkz is on the front line, and the boy ain't stopping till all the bodies are dropping. Fudge jumps over that chicken wall to chase after him. Huni's still on the run. Zven with the boomerang blade over the wall, and Huni is about to drop here next. Your Hex Tech sweep will slow him down, but he's going towards the blast cone. Drake's alive in 2 seconds, and Cloud9 should be able to take it unless they just want to end the game right here. They're already marching down mid. Inhibitor falls. They've got a minion wave coming up behind them. 30 seconds on Spica, 20 on PowerOfEvil and Lost. The minion wave is here. The ulti from Sivir to get the minions up there as quickly as possible. But with the Baron buff applied to the minions from Huni, Cloud9 cannot end. Instead, they will back off and take their Infernal Soul.
Put another one on the board for Turbo Dive, though, Captain Flowers. That was so ballsy from Cloud9. Did you see Blaber's health? It almost didn't even show up on his health bar above his head when Perkz got the ultimate on him. PoE almost 100% Blaber here, pushing him off his own Kindred ultimate. And look at this. PoE goes in, sweeps him off the ultimate, one more chunk. Look at that health. That's almost all just magic shield from Galio. And he's able to survive. Just so close there. PoE end up going down, though, and that means Perkz is making the call, full engage. Fudge went in, got the stun. Even though Vulcan dies after falling up and getting that Alistar combo off, he's got them off the run. Both Blaber and Zven pulling up the rear here mean that there's no real turn for TSM, so they continually have to kite as they're trying to deal with Camille Galio charging forward. And everybody knows how difficult it is to get away from the Camille later on in the game. Hookshot just keeps coming. They chase down the extra kill. And Cloud9 do get the inhibitor as well as the Infernal Dragon.
What a game. I am loving this game number 3.
So not that best of 5 vote.
Whenever we have a series, Kobe, I always hope the series goes the distance, and I always hope the last game is the best game of the series. And here today, we are getting that from TSM and Cloud9. Cloud9 sitting at a 6,000 gold lead with a soul, with a 9-kill advantage. But that incredible stolen Baron off the back of a Huni ulti and a PowerOfEvil auto attack with an Azir soldier has kept TSM in this game. They're going to have to pull off some incredible team play to be able to get a dub here, but it is not over yet.
See what they can work with. Cloud9 pushing up the side wave because Fudge has priority here on the Camille. Has the full 3 item power spike. TSM just running towards the super minions. I like pushing this out. It buys you more time regardless of what decision point you have to get to about recalling. PoE goes in, though, whiffs.
That was wacky. I'm not sure what that was, but a nice follow-up there from Spica. Gets the Lamb's Respite out of Blaber. That is one of the most complicated team fight tools to have to play around, and TSM just removed it from the equation. Now let's see what their response is to the split push from Fudge, who is in a good spot here to try to apply some pressure to this tier 3. But with Huni showing up, there's no way that he can do that. So you've got a defense of the Nexus turrets, you've got a defense of that bottom lane inhibitor turret. TSM are still just trying to claw back their control over Summoner's Rift. You can see the Cloud9 ward line approaching up further and further, trying to take this territory away from TSM, make it risky for them to leave the base. Fudge continues applying the pressure here in this bottom lane. Baron is up in under 10 seconds. TSM has multiple bodies in the area. Remember that Jhin is not the best Baron taking AD carries, pretty slow compared to a lot of others, but we already saw how quickly Azir can do it. So if these guys want to try to make another cheeky play, they could, but after the last one ended up being warded and they weren't aware, I would understand if they were a bit hesitant to go for that one here. Huni's staying in the bottom lane to deal with Fudge. Both top laners have teleport ready to go should this turn into a full-on team fight. Gold graph at the bottom, you can see it's nothing but C9 blue. And TSM are fighting an uphill battle here as this big objective is ready to go.
They certainly are. Super minions heading towards mid. They've got pressure from Fudge on bottom side, and the Baron has been started up. Control ward or not, Cloud9 powering through. And there's plenty of damage here with the Kindred and Sivir.
Lost opens up the curtain call. Vulcan coming around to stop him. Baron has been reset. Cloud9's going for the fight. Vulcan already nearly killed off. Deadly Flourish coming in. A little bit more damage coming through as you've got the Shurima Shuffle throwing a couple of them back. Lost grabs the kill into Blaber, but Fudge kills Lost. Now you've got Huni taken very low. Nice interrupt on that kill coming out from SwordArt as PowerOfEvil flees and Perkz looks to finish off that kill too. Zven is running wild. The man is uninterrupted. The man is unstoppable. He is continuing to push forward. 3 health bars still remain on TSM, but they are alive by barely a sliver of an inch. SwordArt wants to get away, but the uppercut kick from Camille says no. Perkz keeps PowerOfEvil and Spica stuck inside the fountain. Cloud9 have compromised health bars, but there's only 2 players of TSM remaining. Make it 1. C9 find themselves a fight. They use the advantages they've earned all game, and they get trolled at the very end by the inhibitor coming back. It shouldn't matter that much, but man, did that let the air out of the celebration at the very end. But C9's still gonna have it, baby. Spica's your last man standing. He's stuck all the way back in the fountain. They're wanting to pad the stats with another kill, but they won't even need it. Cloud9 take the win in the series 2-1, and they're going on to play in the semifinals.
The slimmest of margins in some of these plays too, Flowers. In the last one, PoE Azir ultimate as Fudge jumps into the air. So Fudge actually dodged the Azir ultimate with the untargetable frames from Camille in Hextech Ultimatum. Gets right over it. They get the combo off. They succeed in the dive. And that's why, you know, when you're playing things like this where Cloud9 just keep putting together layer upon layer upon layer of engage, you really have to be perfect in how you deal with it, because one of them gets through and you get that entire combo, and it actually takes out the entire team. Plus already having the gold lead plus the infernal soul for themselves. So much damage. That was definitely an enjoyable series though, Flowers. Super excited now to see Cloud9 go versus 100 Thieves.
That will be a sick matchup when we get to see it. Of course, the semifinals will not be played until next weekend. But man, I just want to celebrate both of our top laners here real quick. Again, harkening back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the series, seeing them both as weak points on their teams. You already mentioned Fudge playing that last fight well to ensure the victory for Cloud9. We saw Huni's ulti knock the enemy jungler away, yeet Blaber on out of that pit, and make it so that Baron was stealable to keep TSM in the game. They also both had good Gragas performances in games 1 and 2 when they played the champion respectively. I think both these guys showed up in